Welcome back to The Curious Route, where we explore the fascinating ways people live around our incredible planet. Today, we're diving into something that might blow your mind. There are communities right now, in 2025, thriving without electricity grids, running water systems, or paved roads. And before you click away thinking this is about primitive living, stick around, because what these people have figured out is actually genius. And it might just change how you think about what we really need to survive. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll question everything you thought was essential. Picture this. You wake up tomorrow and every modern convenience is gone. No light switch to flip, no faucet to turn on, no grocery store down the street. Sounds impossible, right? But for millions of people living in remote towns across Alaska, the Australian outback, the Himalayas, the Amazon rainforest, and rural parts of Africa and Asia, this isn't a nightmare scenario. It's just Tuesday. And here's the kicker. Many of these communities wouldn't trade their lifestyle for anything. So how do they do it? Let's find out. Let's start with the most basic need: water. In modern cities, we turn a tap and clean water flows out like magic. We use about 100 gallons per person every day without thinking twice. But in remote villages in places like rural Nepal or the highlands of Ethiopia, there are no water treatment plants, no pipes running underground, no municipal systems whatsoever. So what do? They've become masters of water harvesting and management in ways that would make any survivalist jealous. Many remote communities rely on natural springs and streams, but it's not as simple as just drinking straight from the source. Villages often designate specific collection points, usually uphill from the settlement, where water flows cleanest. Women and children in many cultures make daily treks with containers to gather water, sometimes walking several miles. They've developed intricate knowledge passed down through generations about which sources are safe during which seasons, how to spot contaminated water, and natural filtration methods using sand, gravel, and charcoal. In areas where surface water is scarce, communities dig wells, sometimes going down hundreds of feet, using nothing but manual tools and incredible patience. In the Australian outback, some cattle stations and tiny settlements rely on bore water from underground aquifers, using windmill pumps that have operated for over a century. These ingenious devices need no electricity, just wind, which the outback has plenty of. The creaking sound of these windmills has become the heartbeat of outback survival. Rainwater harvesting is another crucial technique. Homes in remote parts of the Pacific Islands, rural Thailand, and isolated regions of South America are designed with large roof catchment systems that funnel every drop of rain into storage tanks. During the wet season, families can collect thousands of gallons, enough to last through dry periods. They treat this water like liquid gold, using it sparingly and recycling gray water for gardens. Some communities have even developed communal storage systems where excess water is shared during droughts, creating a social safety net built on mutual survival. Now let's talk about food, because without supermarkets and refrigeration, how do these communities eat? The answer is both simple and sophisticated. They produce almost everything locally, and they've mastered food preservation techniques that do not require modern technology. In remote Alaskan villages cut off from road systems for most of the year, Indigenous communities still practice traditional hunting, fishing, and gathering. They follow caribou migrations, ice fish through frozen lakes, and harvest berries and plants according to seasonal cycles their ancestors mapped out centuries ago. Preservation is key when you can't just plug in a freezer. Smoking, salting, drying, and fermenting are arts perfected over millennia. In the Arctic, communities dig ice cellars deep into permafrost, creating natural freezers that maintain temperatures just above freezing year-round. In tropical regions, foods are dried in the sun or smoked over fires to prevent spoilage. Fermentation, used for everything from vegetables to fish, not only preserves food, but actually increases its nutritional value. These aren't primitive methods. They're sophisticated technologies that work without electricity bills. subsistence farming dominates remote agricultural communities. In the mountain villages of Peru and Tibet, families maintain terraced gardens that cling to impossibly steep slopes, growing potatoes, corn, and barley adapted to high altitudes and harsh conditions. These aren't hobby gardens, they're precision food production systems where every square foot counts. Communities often practice crop rotation and companion planting instinctively, maintaining soil health without chemical fertilizers. Seeds are saved, traded, and treasured as inheritance, representing centuries of genetic adaptation to local conditions. Livestock plays a vital role too. Goats, chickens, yaks, llamas, and cattle provide meat, milk, eggs, and labor. In pastoral communities across Mongolia, East Africa, and Central Asia, entire societies move seasonally with their herds, following grass and water in patterns refined over generations. These nomadic groups navigate vast territories without GPS, reading landscapes like we read street signs, knowing where to find water sources 50 miles away based on subtle environmental cues. But what about staying warm and cooking food without natural gas or electricity? Fire remains humanity's oldest and most reliable technology, and remote communities are experts in its use. In Siberian villages where winter temperatures drop to -60 degrees, Fahrenheit homes are built with massive wood-burning stoves called pechka that serve triple duty: heating the house, cooking food, and even providing sleeping platforms that stay warm through brutal nights. Fuel gathering is a constant activity. In forested regions, communities practice sustainable harvesting, taking deadfall and managing woodlots to ensure supply for future generations. In treeless environments like the Tibetan Plateau or the steppes of Mongolia, dried animal dung becomes the primary fuel source. This isn't desperation, it's practical adaptation, as dung burns slowly and provides steady heat perfect for cooking and warming homes. Some communities in the Andes use a combination of dung, dried moss, and shrubs, creating fuel bricks that burn efficiently in specially designed stoves. Lighting after sunset presents another challenge we never consider when we can just flip a switch. Traditional solutions include oil lamps burning animal fat or plant oils, candles made from beeswax or tallow, and incredibly, in some modern remote communities, small solar panels charging LED lights and batteries. This represents an interesting hybrid approach where a touch of modern technology is adopted where practical, but without requiring connection to power grids or complex infrastructure. Transportation in roadless regions gets creative. In the Amazon, rivers become highways with dugout canoes and small motorboats serving as the primary vehicles. Communities maintain fleets of boats the way suburban families maintain cars, with boat-building skills passed down through families. In mountainous regions of Nepal and the Andes, foot trails connecting villages are the only routes, and porters and pack animals move goods that would require trucks elsewhere. During winter in the Arctic, frozen rivers become ice roads, and snowmobiles or dog sleds provide mobility across terrain that's impassable in summer. Some of the most isolated communities on Earth, like those on remote Pacific islands or in the heart of the Amazon, might see outside visitors only a few times a year. Supplies might arrive by small plane, helicopter, or boat on irregular schedules. These communities have learned to be completely self-sufficient for extended periods, maintaining stores of essential items and making do or making from scratch what they run out of. Healthcare in these remote settings relies heavily on traditional medicine and community knowledge. Plant-based remedies, bone-setting techniques, midwifery skills, and natural treatments for common ailments represent accumulated wisdom tested over countless generations. While serious medical emergencies can be devastating without access to modern facilities, these communities often exhibit remarkable health for chronic conditions, possibly due to active lifestyles, diets based on whole foods, and strong social connections that support mental well-being. Communication with the outside world has actually improved for many remote communities in recent decades, not through roads or power lines, but through satellite technology. Even villages without electricity might have a single satellite phone powered by solar panels, connecting them to emergency services, or allowing limited contact with relatives who've moved to cities. Some communities have embraced radio communication, with operators maintaining scheduled contact times to share news and coordinate needs. What's truly remarkable is the social organization these communities maintain. Without formal government services readily available, people rely on each other intensely. Decision-making often happens through community councils where everyone has input. Labor is frequently shared, with villagers coming together for major projects like building homes, harvesting crops, or maintaining trails. This isn't just necessity. It creates incredibly strong social bonds and a sense of belonging that many people in modern cities desperately lack. Children in these communities grow up with skills most of us will never have. By age 10, they might know how to purify water, identify edible plants, track animals, navigate by stars, predict weather by reading clouds, start fires in wet conditions, and contribute meaningfully to family survival. Education happens through doing, with knowledge transmitted directly from elders to youth through daily life, rather than classrooms. While literacy rates may be lower, practical competence is extraordinarily high. Are these communities stuck in the past? Not exactly. Many consciously choose elements of traditional life, while selectively adopting useful modern tools. A village elder might carry a smartphone for emergency communication, while still living in a home built using centuries-old techniques. Young people increasingly leave for cities, seeking opportunities and education, but many return, appreciating the quality of life remote living offers: clean air, tight communities, connection to land, and freedom from the rat race. Climate change is affecting these communities profoundly. Melting permafrost threatens Arctic villages, changing rainfall patterns disrupt agricultural cycles, and rising seas endanger island communities. Ironically, these people who contribute least to global emissions often suffer its worst impacts, yet they're also demonstrating remarkable adaptation, adjusting practices that have served them for generations to meet new challenges. So what can we learn from how these communities survive and thrive? Perhaps that human resilience is more powerful than we imagine. That community and cooperation can replace infrastructure we think is essential. That living with less can actually mean living better in some ways. That local knowledge and traditional practices often contain wisdom our modern world has forgotten. And maybe, just maybe, that we're more capable of surviving disruptions than we give ourselves credit for. These remote communities prove daily that humans can flourish with ingenuity, cooperation, and connection to their environment. They challenge our assumptions about what civilization requires and show alternative paths forward as our own infrastructure-dependent world faces uncertain futures with climate change, resource depletion, and technological vulnerabilities. So, what do you think? Could you survive without modern infrastructure? What's one skill from these communities you wish you had? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I genuinely want to hear your perspective. And if you found this fascinating, please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you do not miss our next journey down the curious route. Until next time, stay curious about how people live, because every community has lessons worth learning.